This video is a JFM dust test chamber manual. It provides explanations for each function and operation method, so please refer to it for usage. The video is divided into 5 parts: principle and types of dust tests, equipment configuration of the dust test chamber, setting procedures for the airflow and suspension dust tests, usage of the vacuum pump, and dust test chamber optional functions. You can navigate through the timeline to find the desired explanations. Part 1. Principles and types of dust tests. JFM dust test chamber has 2 test methods. First, the airflow test sprays dust from the airflow nozzle, covering the test area from top to bottom. Dust within the test chamber is propelled by the impeller's rotation and enters through holes. The incoming dust moves to the bottom of the chamber, and as the blower fan operates, it circulates the dust upward. The dust is then sprayed into the chamber through an upper tube, dispersing it for the test. Second, the suspension test is a method in which air is sprayed from a dedicated nozzle, causing the dust to float upward from bottom to top before settling down. Dust is introduced into the dust test chamber. Subsequently, external air connected to the equipment enters the chamber and moves along the nozzle. Air is released through the brass nozzle connected to the chamber's inner space, creating a flow that lifts the dust upwards. Part 2. Equipment configuration of the dust test chamber. Next, let's discuss the external configuration of the dust test chamber. First, there is a controller for operating the equipment, barometer pressure gauge to check vacuum pressure, barometer flow for monitoring vacuum flow, and emergency switch to stop the equipment in case of an emergency. Press the power button to turn on the equipment. Let's explain the panel configuration of the dust test chamber. The controller section of the dust test chamber is identical for both the airflow test and the suspension test. The panel consists of 5 main functions. At the bottom buttons, select the types of tests, either the airflow test or the suspension test. Test control section with buttons for starting, stopping, and other optional functions. Counter to check the number of test cycles with separate buttons to reset the counter and timer. Dust on time, the time when dust is sprayed. Dust off time, the time when dust is not sprayed and the system waits. Part 3. Setting procedures for airflow and suspension dust tests. Let's explain how to set up the dust test. First, load the talc dust, approximately 2 kilograms per square meter, into the chamber and check its condition. After securing the sample, close the door. Then, choose between airflow and suspension tests. Press the counter reset and timer reset buttons resets the time. Set the dust on timer and dust off timer and specify the test cycles. Press the dust on to set the duration for dust dispersion, and press dust off to configure the idle time. Next, on the counter, input the number of times you want to repeat the configured test. Depending on your needs, use the heater, vacuum pump, and Bible function. Press the start button to initiate the test. If you need to stop the test midway, press the stop button. Part 4. Usage of the vacuum pump. When the vacuum condition of the sample is required according to the dust test specifications, a vacuum pump is used. Let's take the example of the IEC 60529 test specification. According to the IEC 60529 standard, connect the sample and the vacuum line before the test, and set the pressure to within 2 kilopascals. Press the vacuum pump button, and if the pressure on the pressure gauge remains consistently within 2 kilopascals, the sample sealing is successful. If the pressure cannot be maintained within 2 kilopascals, or is held at a higher value, it indicates a failure in sealing or a problem in the vacuum line. If the pressure does not fall within the specified range, Adjust the pressure by fine-tuning the valve in the vacuum pump speed on the settings screen. The vacuum pump speed can be adjusted from 4,000 to 400, and it must be finely adjusted to fit within the range before starting the test. After the test operation, check if pressure is maintained within 2 kilopascals, and after the test is over, after 2 hours, check the vacuum level. After 2 hours, check the vacuum level again, and if it is within 40 to 60 compared to the initial vacuum level, end the test. If it's below 40, continue the test until the vacuum level reaches 80 or 8 hours have passed. Part 5. Dust Test Chamber Optional Features. Sometimes, during dust testing, clumping of test dust may occur due to external environmental factors such as humidity. 2 features are available to address this issue. The first is the use of a heater. It raises the temperature up to 40 degrees to remove moisture remaining in the dust. If necessary, press the heater use button when setting up the test. The second is the use of a Bible, a function that imparts vibrations to the wall during the test to shake off dust. Press the Start Test button to activate it, and it will remove dust inside the chamber for a more accurate test. Both the heater and Bible functions can operate simultaneously. This concludes the JFM's Dust Test Chamber User Manual video. Thank you.